All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Attacking Third. I'm your host, Austin Hamill, joined this week by Pat Bernard. Gus will be with us in a few minutes. Joining us this week from oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I
Across
literally,
the pitch.
yeah, the across the pitch. For some reason, the words just left my brain like they usually do. But joining us from across the pitch is Mike Barrera. Mike, welcome to the show, man. So glad to have you here.
Hey guys, appreciate you having me on. I'm really excited to get to talk about some Union.
Yeah, man, it's going to be
Yeah,
a great time. And you want to just dive right into it, Pat?
sure. You know what? Hey, Mike. Like, first of all, welcome to the show, and it's great to have you on. But I mean, let's get right into business, Mike. This past weekend, Leagues Cup, Union takes T1 to the woodshed. Woodshed. There's no other way to put it. I mean, you got this. Believe it or not, Julian Carranza, not with one but two goals. I mean.
Mhm.
Where was this guy when we needed him? What's happened? But he definitely showed up in that Leagues Cup. So can you please elaborate to me and Austin what happened here?
I mean, it seems they really controlled the game early on. I mean, I thought they were just a better squad just from the beginning. The red card certainly helped our cause there, even though the Union typically don't play that great when they're up a man. But it
Hmm.
just they were able to take advantage of the team when the moment presented to them. And I mean, you can argue that the second red card against Tijuana may have been a little, questionable, but the Union took care of business. They obviously fell asleep at the start of the second half. That's been addressed to the team already, but you're at home, you're playing against a much weaker opponent or fairly weaker opponent. You took care of business, and they did exactly what they're supposed to do. They could have probably had 6 goals, honestly, if you really look back at the replay.
Right, and like I said, they were bringing so much pressure in the open part of that game. They were taken to the woodshed, as I put it here in the banner. I mean, they were bringing tons of pressure. I mean, the only time that Tijuana got, again, this is one of the ugly spots about the Union, if you want to mark it as a gray area, is that opening that second half, they come out, with their foot off the gas pedal, and the opponent takes care of business. And you've seen it. Tijuana gets right on the scoreboard, and but after that, it's like the first slap in the face that they need.
Hmm.
And then Jim Curtin comes back to the drawing board. All right, guys, we got to dummy down on defense. We got to figure this out. And he makes all the right adjustments. Now having Andre Blake back there makes your a world of a difference, and taking care of business back there as well. I mean, AKA the brick wall. Um, so. I mean, he's been, again, him being back in that lineup makes his team so much more better. So, but Austin, how about you? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you had said, Pat. Having Blake back there always makes a world of difference,
Uh,
obviously. But just the overall pressure that we were able to put onto
yeah,
Tijuana this entire match, just like you said, Mike, the second red was a little bit soft compared to the first one,
up Diego.
but having Carranza get the 2 goals in this match, the overall pressure that the team put on the full blown just overall just perfect play going through the full 90 except for the start in the second half, but they really did make the proper adjustments and were able to find themselves getting a good win in, I mean, I guess you could say a
Mhm.
bit of a weaker group that we're in comparatively in this League's Cup to
Yeah.
start off, but a
Yeah.
win's a win, even though you consider out of the 16 fouls that Tijuana committed, there was only those 2 reds. So they definitely did play not a terrible game, to be 100% honest, but overall the Union just dominated this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here goes a man well, he's still working on some bugs in the back, but he'll be getting ready to come on in a few minutes. But here goes our man Jose Nunez. Again, a great guy. Guys, give him a follow on all social media platforms. That dude is just tearing up. I love his interviews. And here goes our own very own Diego, another great beat reporter for us. He's saying, "What's up, guys? What's going on, Diego?" So I'm glad they're checking in. Jose, Diego, if you're watching at home, chime in and show us what we're talking about, the woodshed that the union just said, come on in, Tijuana. If you're going to come in Subaru Park, you might as well come in this part of the this is where we give you a beat down. and they did. And I was really happy, Carranza. So when my man Gus is about to come on in a few minutes, this guy has been very, very critical of Carranza, and me and Austin have tried to puzzle this together. He's been very critical of him. I guess he sees a lot of potential that's not being displayed as fullest, and he's been really, really hard on him. I can't go that avenue because I think Julian Carranza, if it wasn't for him, the driving seat that you're in now is because of him. And you again, when I see him play the game, I see multiple, not just like a when you're a good point guard, right? Or he's got that Joel Embiid effect. They need to put two defenders on him because he's so good. And then, but the only problem I see after that, the Union really don't have an option B as far as production, and that's where it gets a lot of troublesome. But we'll see what happens. Diego asking a question right here. How are you feeling about the? Oh yeah, about that news that went down. Yeah, see, I saw it was a rumor that I thought was for true, but the rumor about Ty, I don't want to butcher his name, Brabio.
Hi, Baribo.
We'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah. Dude, I'm the tourist. Look, I'll butcher my own name. So, Diego says, "How do you feel about the rumors of that going down?" And my man Jose checking in. He says, "I am a Carranza star." Yeah, see, I hope Gus.
Yeah, he's a Carranza stan.
Mike knows. Mike knows. The score line is pretty generous for the Union. I firmly believe that it is a different game. And Exos stay with at least 10 men. So I hope Gus is reading this and finally getting some knowledge. But anyway, but like I said, like I said, the Union though, like getting back to this game at hand,
Yep.
like I said, very good game. Like I said, very very good, really good game for Carranza. But where are you, Mike, as far as Carranza?
I mean, I feel like the sitters that he's missing are kind of troubling. I mean, you can look back at the Montreal game, you can look at the Colorado miss, you can look at probably about 4 or 5 shots he's would like to have back. But at the same time, he's put himself in position to have those opportunities. And unfortunately, like most strikers, I mean, I've played the forward position before. You're going to miss some easy ones and you're going to make some really difficult ones. But the thing with Carranza is his engine. You know, he's pressing the entire time. That's why he's on the pitch for 90 minutes because he is a high motor player. Even the foul that led up to Michael Ua getting brought down for the red card. I mean, him and Gazdag working together to give Bueno the ball to let Bueno feed Ua. He does more than just score goals. He is just a multi-talented player. And again, the Union need their strikers to press. They need their strikers to be active. And as much as I love Michael, Carranza's engine is just at a higher pace. So to have him be scoring on top of being a strong defensive and a strong motor player, you really can't ask for more right now from Julian.
No, you can't. And he, like I said, to me, he's like I said, well, he's your workhorse. You know what I mean? He really puts in the time. He really gives you a decent amount of minutes. Again, I get it. He's going to have that year from last year, but you got to remember, you were the champions, and people are going to do your homework on you. And these coaches, this is their livelihood. So they got film on you. They're going to do X's and O's on you. So they got to make sure that what's better. And again, there's tape on them now. Okay, what's the problem for Carranza? Okay, let's put him in double coverage. Then what does Jim Curtin have to say? Here goes Diego with a statement. He goes, "That's why Quinn has to start over Owa." So do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that yet. I do like Ua off the bench because he is a high speed player, but Quinn doesn't have the same speed as Carranza or Ua, nor does he have the finishing touch. But then again, I know Jose, if he's watching, knows I love Quinn Sullivan, but I mean, we've seen Sullivan do well with his assists. He's obviously had one today. He's had a handful of really good crosses. He took some great shots against Nashville. So Quinn Sullivan is getting there. I definitely think he's more of a midfield player than he is a finishing forward. And that is partially because he's just not the fastest player in the world. He just has a solid pace. So on occasion, would I like to see Quinn start? Absolutely. I think it was great that he started now, a handful of matches in a row. But Ua's finishing touch and his strength and his ability to just, beat a defender at any moment is still why he's getting paid the way he's getting paid.
Right. So you don't think? So he goes. Oh, he also says, I think Quinn plays with much more pace than Ua does. Um,
It depends on it depends on the way the defense is playing as well. But I mean, again, I like Quinn. I'm definitely certainly glad they brought in a third striker because I think everybody misses Corey Burke tremendously because unfortunately Donovan and Quinn are not producing the same production numbers that we saw from Corey Burke or even Sergio Santos if you really want
right,
to nitpick. So
Yeah.
Quinn's a work in progress right now.
right, right.
Yeah.
And so, before we go any further, Gus, are you ready to go back there? Is he ready to rock and roll? What's going on with him? Is he in a green screen?
Let me see. Is he in the green room?
Yeah, he's in the green room. Is he ready to rock and roll?
He still
We'll
seems
see
a
if he.
little stuttery, but we'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
to sort of just piggyback off of what you guys both were saying, especially when it comes to Quinn Sullivan, I am obviously a big Quinn Sullivan guy. I've made it very apparent on this podcast before, but I am glad that he's starting to get some meaningful starting minutes. It may not be in the position that he's, more meant to be in, which is definitely, that forward role. But to be able to just see him get some meaningful minutes to sort of play in the structure that Curtin's established for him to be able to play in is definitely going to help him develop more. I mean, he's got a really good touch already, as you've seen him, really just ring a few off of the post in the past few matches. He's gotten a chance to get some touches in, but overall, I mean, the pace could be there. He just like you said though, Mike, he's definitely still a work in progress. So
Yeah.
I mean, the progress so far is good, and it looks like it's only going to get better, but only time will really tell. And I really hope it's for the better for sure.
And it also comes with the structure of the formation. But the problem with Quinn Sullivan, unfortunately for him, is the fact that Jack McGlynn is obviously playing at a high level. You have Jesus Bueno now playing one of the best soccer we've ever seen him play because we really
Yeah.
haven't seen him play at all. So
Yeah.
mm,
Bueno's kind of solidifying himself as that player in the midfield to take over. So then it comes down to, well, when's Quinn or Chris going to play? And well, now that you have a third striker that's going to get paid pretty good hefty amount of money who obviously has the quality that Quinn and Chris do not, their minutes are going to start dropping more and more. So again, I mean, and then of course when Bedoya comes back too, that's obviously going to take precedence. So I feel bad for Sullivan. I really wish he had gotten more time with the U.S. national team when he went down there. He did not. So he's just going to have to be patient. But listen, for your fourth striker to be Quinn Sullivan, that's not the worst thing in the world either.
Yeah, it's really not.
no, not at all. I mean, again, it's the rotations. Now that's like I said. I don't want to go too much off topic and off the beaten path. But that's like I said. That's again. That's some of the issues that again. Once he gets started, he can answer all the questions. So he because he's got problems with the way sometimes Jim Curtin runs this offense. He like again he sees Bedoya in there too long. He sees the journeyman Bedoya in there, and it's like what are we doing? He guys sometimes questions his lineups and like his rotations. It's like is it? Do you feel a part of the blame if you know that some of the downfall we had this past first half of the season is because of Quinn? I mean, Curtin.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. So Curtin's always had a few issues with subs. I think sometimes he's too predictable with his subs, constantly, removing Ua at times when you really could have left him on for another, 10, 15 minutes. I think if you look back at the Atlanta game when you put Nathan Harriel on the left center back and then you have Leon Flock on
Mm.
the left, it forces it doesn't force, it allows the other team to just know exactly what you're doing. And then when you have Bedoya and Olivier on the right hand side, it's not exactly the most dynamic duo in the world either. So I
Right.
think Curtin having Damian Lowe is allowing him to play a different set of offense, a different structure that he's never really had the chance to play before. We've never had three center backs who could play at this high of a level. Um, Actually, I asked Jim Curtin after the last game. I said, "Hey, Damian Lowe's back in the mix. What are your thoughts on him?" And he
Hmm.
said, he's when we play with Damian Lowe, we just don't lose games. It's actually very true. We really don't lose any games when he plays, and
Yeah.
it allows players like Kai Wagner or Olivier to be more aggressive and to move further up because you know that if there's a counterattack, you have three of the best center backs in the league back there who can just take somebody one on one and handle business. So, yes, I think Curtin has had some blame for certain games. I agree 100%. At the same time, we've seen Curtin adjust more this year than I think we've ever had in the entire Union history. And I've been a fan since 2012, so I can go all the way back. And I think he's probably adjusted more this season than I think I can ever remember. So credit to him. He's a coach of the year constantly for a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And he does, like I said, he does phenomenal work. Again, like I said, like I said, I noticed and I know Gus's playbook because he would say this. He would say about his deficiency, as like you said, the sub rotations. But like you said, he also, he does make adjustments on the fly. Where this team is struggling, he will make those counter punches and counterattacks. And like I said, right now, the way this defense is set up, they shut down they make it tough for you to score. They play the man-to-man coverages, and of course with Andre Blake back there, we all know the story. That, like I said earlier, he's a brick wall. He takes care of his own. Um, so like I said, with that being said, and like I said, they take care of Tijuana now. Like I said, they showed up big time at home, where the Union are really really solid. Again, one of the best home record teams in the league.
Yeah.
I believe they're 8-1 so far, or 8-2. Don't quote me on that. As far as home
They're really
home
good.
record, they're really good.
Yeah.
So I listen, and the funny part is like right before the series ended and stuff. Um, like we had all the doubts in the world, right? They lose to they lose to Atlanta, and they lose to LA Galaxy on the road, and then they're heading into Nashville. I'm pretty sure it was some people were waving the white flags, and this is going to get ugly quick. And no, they again they unpredicted it. They go into Nashville, they take care of business, they beat up a really good homestand team like Nashville, and then boom.
But
Uh,
if you think about the Nashville game too, I know
mm,
I know that we got lucky a lot in that game too, but if you think of the importance that game was for Jesus Bueno to lock down Mokhtar for that long, I mean,
yeah,
you see it now, like how well he's playing now. You have to think like that game, he probably walked off that field like, yeah, I'm playing pretty well right now. So in terms of just confidence, yeah, I know we got the 3 points. That's obviously the most important thing. But for a player like Bueno to have a game like that, or even Bendick to say, yeah, you know what, I can still do this.
yeah.
The confidence is definitely starting to build from those players, or even Quinn Sullivan. He had a good game that day.
He did. And again, kudos to them. So like I said, they take care of Taiwan, but now there was a little bit more action, all around, not just just around the soccer in general. It feels good, what I mean. It feels good that we're talking soccer, and so there was a man named Messier that kind of got on the scoreboard. I really don't know who he is. I can't pick him out of a crowd. But I mean, this guy decided, again, coming into the MLS and gets his first MLS goal.
Mhm.
So Mike, take it away. What's your take on Messier finding the back of the net?
And also, he's already had 2 goals today. He might have had
Yep.
more. I turned the game off since I joined you guys. So he's had
Yeah,
three
same here.
goals in like 60 minutes so far. But in terms of like the viewership, I mean, you have LeBron James, you got Serena Williams, Kim K. You have these celebrities who are going to see this guy who's bigger than all of them combined. Because in the
Yeah,
reality of it, Leo Messi's more known than any of them will ever be when you come to think about it. So it's great for the league. It's great for Miami because they were, as you and I talked about before the show, really in the stinker with just their season and their franchise. So uh, to see that goal go in for his first goal was kind of just Hollywood, like
yeah.
there's no way you could write it any better than that.
No, you're right, Mike. I mean, again, this is like I said, one of the top soccer players in the world, and again, the black, the South Beach crowd must be really really happy because you go from LeBron 10 years later to now you get Messier, and like you said, that Inter Miami team's already getting stacked. They're already building. You see all the moves that they've been making, and
Him,
so
Busquets, Alba, like
Alba,
it's
yep.
yeah, so I mean, they're already going to maybe not this year, but obviously, but next year, Inter Miami, you're going to have to pitch her. It's going to be a tough outing, if you will. I mean, like you and I spoke earlier, can't wait to see the matchup between Blake and Messier. I mean, we all say Messier is this great goalie. We're really about to find out what kind of goalie he really is because he's going to have
Mhm.
to deal with that man, and it's going to be tough.
It's just even from a defensive standpoint. Like I watched the Atlanta game today. Now, again, Atlanta's basically like a turnstile on defense. They're really not that strong defensively, but you're going to have players like Brujo and Glesnes and Elliott having to play at an extreme level. And it's not even just for Messi, it's for Busquets with the ball. If he gets any space in that midfield, he's going to find somebody, even Josef on the overlap and, run behind a defender. So it's because so much attention is drawn to Messi, just the same way LeBron probably gets a double team, or Embiid gets a triple team. It's the same thing. You don't always have to worry about him. You got to worry about Robert Taylor running down the left hand side, who's going to put in a banger like he did tonight. So he has such a trickle effect on every single person around him. It's actually kind of awesome to watch.
It was incredible to watch, especially because of the first one that he scored today. It was just a perfectly placed ball to get him go. That like literally two different dudes on Atlanta were within like 10 steps of him and just left him unmarked, just slightly behind them. And it was like the perfect run to get that ball out and over the top to get him going. And it was exactly what you wanted for your first goal. Just a perfect run by a guy who's been known to make those kinds of runs his entire career. Yeah. And then the second one that he got was rings it off of the post and then puts it right back. Like Diego saying, Taylor getting 2 tonight. Like it's this incredible trickle down effect of just like all sorts of just incredible things happening as that you can tell already as the season's going to go on, and it's only going to get better to watch. And also, like Diego said, he has 3 goals and an assist in roughly 75 minutes of play. So
I know I teased this a little bit, but let me get into one of the sponsors here, and then I think the man is ready to rock and roll. So Mike, this guy eats, breathes, and sleeps soccer. Awesome. Let me tell you, I've been around his whole house growing up, and his it's a generational thing. So my man Gus is about to make his appearance, and he's going to take over on all this action. So I can't wait to listen to you guys. But real fast, let me get into one of the great sponsors here at EOP. So guys, listen, it's a no-brainer, right? You guys are looking for some worker compensation, medical vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law. Hit up my man David Archeri, Esquire. Call him right now, 610-565-0300. So guys, you're talking about Messier. You're talking about some great, if you run into a problem out there, somebody hit your car at the Union game, hopefully but somebody you run some kind of trouble, hit up my man David Archeri, Esquire. This game has been sold out, but again, Philly Sports Trips. Again, they have a big game coming up in Labor Day weekend going out to San Diego. You give them a call today, or hit Vinny up on Philly Sports Trips and tell him EOP sent you. Good friend of mine. So let them know today. And of course, share tickets, guys. www.sharetickets.com. Family operated and owned. No hidden fees. The price you see is the price you get. Sports, concerts, theaters. Guys, you think about a next Union game, go through Share Tickets. Use that promo code EOP10 and save yourself 10% off. And of course, guys, Dolan's Bar. You guys are looking for a getaway, go to 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park, quiz, music, great times and prizes. Go give them a shout. They're always having a Philadelphia legend comes walking through there. So guys, go check them out. Great spot to hang out. And of course, here comes my man.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for waiting on for me. I had some technical difficulties, but Mike, awesome to have you on the show. I was listening the whole time. I was getting started up, and especially listening to that last part there. Lionel Messi, I've known about this guy. I've seen this guy since he started, since he first got pulled from Argentina to Barcelona from when he was 13 years old. And they said, and back then they did say that he had something special, which they say that about a lot of players, right? Yeah. But there really was something special about this kid. They compared him to one Diego Maradona, which is an absolute
praise.
Yeah, it's an absolute praise. So, and now I think that some people have him above him, and for a guy like that to be 36 years old, still playing at a high level, which he is, and to be in the MLS, it's great exposure for the league. like you said earlier, I don't think a lot of people here understand how big an influence he actually
Mhm.
is. Because in comparison to anybody in the states, there's just no comparison. Combined, he has more of a following than you mentioned Serena Williams, LeBron James, and all those guys. So what he's doing for the MLS and the fact that he's just getting eyes on the league, it's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, he reminds me, like, in terms of just the attention, think of Yao Ming from China, like, during his peak, and, like, he would go to China, and he would just be a superstar, that's imagine that
Right.
times, a billion. Like,
Exactly.
it's hard to put it into perspective how big he is, that this guy cannot walk down the street from his house in Argentina without being just completely mobbed. You don't
But
get
he
that
can go
here.
to Publix in Florida, though. He's cool
Yeah,
there.
he's just a normal guy in Florida, exactly. I'm sure he enjoys that he can go buy
He
his
probably
Lucky
loves
Charms
it.
or whatever without any sort of harassment. But you're right. They're not going to understand it ever because it's just not part of their culture. It's just not what we have
Exactly.
here in America. It's different. It's much, much different.
Exactly. But listen, I grew up in Peru.
Yep.
That's my team, my country. So we've been getting victimized by Messi for a number of years now. So we're very I'm very familiar with his style of play. Again, I'm a Real Madrid fan also, so
There you go.
I've seen him in Barcelona. It's just great. When I didn't believe, because knowing how soccer works, I didn't believe that he was going to come. I heard rumors before he even left PSG. I knew he wasn't happy there, but I didn't think he was going to come so early. And I'm glad he did, because again, the MLS needs this, and it's just going to be better for the whole league.
No, it's great. It's great exposure, especially when you're switching to a subscription based
Right.
style structure where you have to basically have people pay to see it. You need as much, pull as possible. And he's obviously gonna get millions and billions of people to turn in. Like, I think what is his introduction to Miami was what 3.5 billion views or something
Yeah.
Like that,
astronomical.
yeah.
The actual game saw 1.2 or 1.7 million views. The actual game.
Right.
Which in comparison to other MLS games, is just astronomical.
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely.
that's what he does. That's what he brings you. And we said it once we first heard it. I brought it from a quote that I saw. Beckham gave the MLS legs. Messi, we're hoping that it gives it wings, and
Yeah.
that is exactly what's happening right now. You just said it yourself, like that Hollywood debut that he had. It was the ridiculous. What other player can come in and do that in the first game back? Such an anticipation of him coming in, and then just do it in the 94th minute to win the game. He's just special.
Yeah, I mean, you see Serena Williams reacting to his goal. Her
Yeah,
mouth is like on the floor. You think Serena Williams, one of the most dominant tennis players of all time, is shocked, like left speechless because again, Messi's bigger than she'll ever be. It's they understand the
yeah,
greatness. This
absolutely.
it's honestly it's fun to watch. It really
But
is.
even then,
Really
when's
is.
the last time? When's the last time you saw LeBron James at a soccer game?
Yeah, I mean, it's
That, that's
gonna
not
yeah.
that's not Liverpool, right?
No, no,
Yeah.
it's just a random Miami and Cruz Azul match.
Right, right, right. And Cruz Azul is a huge club in Latin America. Like
Yeah, sure.
they're very well known.
Yeah.
And half the people there weren't there for Cruz Azul; they were there for Miami.
Yeah. No, that's what's going to happen, and I love that the Leagues Cup is the focal point right now, and they're getting attention from both leagues because even for Liga MX, it's good attention for them for the teams
Oh,
that are going to be
absolutely.
in, and so it's good for both sides. It really couldn't have been timed any better, especially if Alba's coming by the end of the week. It's just more attention to be brought in.
Yeah. Oh no. And Diego, you're absolutely right. Busquets plays like a 10, but he
Hmm.
plays in the back.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that his whole career. He right now he's a little bit older, so he lost a step or two, but he can still kill you anytime he wants. It's very rare that you have that combination of defense and then scanning like Busquets does. Like nobody scans like Messi does, but
Hmm.
that's what Busquets brings to the table, and he does make that extra pass to create the opportunity for goal. And the fact that they brought him in right now again is huge for Messi because he has somebody that he's familiar with. And if they do bring the other pieces they're looking to bring, Miami's going to be a problem. And not this year. I don't think that even with the additions that they had this year, I don't think they're going to do anything this year in the MLS side of things. But they can very well be last in the MLS and win the Leagues Cup, man. Like it's unbelievable.
Which puts them right in the CCL next season, which is
Right.
incredible for Miami. So just more exposure. I mean, you're going to see. I think David Beckham had mentioned it as well. The MLS is not a league you just walk into and just show off. It is going to take an adjustment. It is a more physical style to play at times, and also the travel. How is he going to react traveling to LA and then going across the country again? It's not like anything in England or other countries where it's a much smaller geography.
Mhm.
It's huge, even for the Union going down to play Miami. It's a pretty solid trip, So they are
Absolutely.
also older players. These are 30, like you said, Messi's 36. Like these are older players who their bodies heal differently than somebody like Jack McGlynn. So it's going to be an adjustment, but I mean he's still the best.
Yeah, and I think Austin and I talked about that last week. That adjustment of the traveling, it is quite a difference because
Yeah.
the distances are just so much larger, like you just said. But any kind of adjustment that Messi's going to have to make are mostly outside of the pitch, which
Yeah.
you can't really ask for much more than that if you're Miami, right? Because in terms of the physicality. Messi's very hard to control anyway because he's so quick that he'll just move around you. So in terms of physicality, I don't think he'll feel it unless he's going 1-on-1 with somebody. Which I mean, I don't know if you saw the game today, but he's just burning everybody anyway. So unless he loses like a step or two, I don't think the physicality is going to affect him as much as the outside of the pitch. Like traveling and all that stuff, or like even the weather, because the weather could be different.
I was just gonna say that,
Like up north, and then you go south to play in Miami. Like it fluctuates. So that might hurt him more than anything else.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's ever played in like the weather of Toronto or somewhere just freezing, and then go in and plays Miami 3 days later. It's just such a transition in weather. We dealt with it earlier this year. We were up here in Chester, it was 35 degrees, freezing. We went to Miami and got our ass kicked. So it's a hard transition.
Yeah, definitely. And just a quick update for you guys, because ever since Messi came in, I've done it every week. Their Instagram following is now 12.1 million. So they've gone up 2 million since last week.
That's insane, dude.
And over like 350% follower increase since he signed. Like it's just an insane number.
We're talking 10 million plus followers in a month.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
I feel like it's the fastest growing follower base in the world, probably. Like aside from like one of those random YouTubers, it's like, oh, look, check out this thing, and they get they get like 200 million views out of nowhere. Yeah, like I'm looking at Miami's schedule, and a lot of their stuff until the end of the year, they don't have to. I mean, I think they travel to Toronto once. No,
they go to Chicago. I think.
Yeah, I think Chicago and Cincinnati are probably like the farthest north that they go for the rest of the year, and the Chicago game is going to be early October, so I mean it's not going to be that bad. But if they do happen to make the playoffs, there's a possibility that if they make a deep run, there are some places they'll end up going to that are going to be pretty dang cold by the time MLS Cup comes around if they make it that far.
I mean, if they make the playoffs, that's true. But I mean, that's a tall ask for where they are right now. I mean, mathematically, I guess it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, you're only 12 points off of DC United.
Yeah,
they're sitting at 9.
Like mathematically, it is possible. It's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a tall
definitely ask. It's definitely a very large hill to have to climb because of the fact that you consider as the season goes on, those point totals change. But a lot of Miami's results, you can probably guarantee wins at this point because there are some defenses that you can look at and be like, I don't know how they're going to be able to handle Messi and Busquets at least.
Well, it also depends on what kind of defense you bring out. Atlanta wasn't ready today.
Not at all.
Oh my goodness,
they were terrible.
They came out and they were just disorganized in the back. They were attacking, which was great because they wanted to punch him in the face, and they almost did because they almost scored twice.
Yeah.
But
Very good.
once they got that first goal, they kind of bounced back a little bit and they got a little confused. And like at no point should Messi be that open. Like
Well,
you should know. Put three guys on him if you want. It doesn't matter. Make
that's
other
what
people beat you.
that's what Twelman was talking about in the commentaries. I don't know if you were listening to the game also, but he mentioned like the midfield is just getting run over. I mean, there's
Mhm.
no excuse to have that kind of open space for two of the best players in the world right now. So it's just
Yeah.
it's I think Atlanta's been that way all year though. They've been able to score at a high volume and they've also been able to give up goals at a high volume. They're just not the team that should be playing Messi right now, especially in Miami. The crowd's hyped up. It's just a recipe for disaster. That's probably why it's 4-0, 5-0 right now, whatever the score is at this point, if the game's not over yet, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. But we'll see what happens with him. I feel like the Union, as defensively, can probably do a better job than Atlanta can.
Yeah.
We do have bigger guys in the middle there, and Brujo's faced them, a couple times already. So I mean, as much as you can't control Messi, but he at least he's familiar, right? A little bit playing for Venezuela there. So we'll see what happens. I feel like we can do a lot better job than Atlanta and a bunch of other teams in the league can. To be honest with you.
Sure. And that's where, listen, that's if you want to go back to the Carranza argument, that's where somebody like him is so important for a game with Messi involved and Busquets because they need to press from the top and they need to make sure they turn the ball over. They cannot allow them to just march down the field or even the way the formation is. You put Bueno and um, Brujo together in front of the back three. I mean, you think of that back five of Brujo, Bueno, Lowe, Elliott, and Glessens. I mean, that's damn good. And you got Kai Wagner on the
Oh,
wing back.
absolutely,
I mean, so the
absolutely.
quality is better, but even the Bueno and Brujo together, they understand that type of quality, they understand, and they'll be ready for it. And I'm sure they're going to be hyped. And Brujo and Messi will probably get into an argument at some point
Oh yeah.
as well. So it's just going to be when is he
Probably,
going to get the yellow
probably.
card?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's almost every match, though.
Yeah,
I just wait for it at this point. It's great, but that's why he's there. He's there to be that guy. Like I'm okay with Brujo getting that yellow as long as he doesn't get sent off,
right.
and Curtin smart and getting him out of the game when it's needed. I'm good with that. That's why he's there. And apparently he's a goal scorer this year, so I'm good with that
He's good
too.
too. He's good
And
too.
and I'll tell you what. And I was listening earlier today and to talk about Carranza.
Mhm,
I I think he's a wonderful piece that we have.
mhm.
He's a great finisher. He's a great forward. My criticism of Carranza is what you said. Uh, I think earlier in the show, which was the misses that he had. I'm
Yeah.
not saying he needs to make every one, but the misses that he's had were completely clear of any defenders, and that's my criticism against him. I think he's having a great year, especially the tandem between him and Gastag. I love that, and it's almost like if one scores, one needs to score also. They
Right.
always score in the same game, and most of the time that they score in the same game, we win. I forget what percentage of games that was, but I mean it's pretty high,
Yeah.
and I don't. I mean, I don't think that he's gonna get the boot or anything like that. I think Carranza he's getting some views from Europe right now, and if
Sure.
anything, we'll wait for the winner. Actually, if we wait till next year to move him and probably get some money from for him, but right now I don't think that that's gonna happen. Bringing in Ty which is a rumor right now. It hasn't been announced by the union yet, but it's been announced in Austria, saying that the union already signed him.
Yeah.
He's pretty solid, but I don't think, if anything, he'll probably get minutes over Ua instead of Carranza. I think Carranza has earned, and it's going to stay with a spot in the starting 11.
Yeah, I assume, and I think they call him the tank or something like that overseas. I know Tom Bogert had released news about it as well, but he's exactly what you need in the third striker. You're right. Early on, he's probably going to see 25, 30 minutes. He's going to
Mhm.
be that replacement for Ua, and hopefully in some games it's reversed where he actually starts and allows Ua to come in off the bench because I think regardless of who's in there, Jim Curtin is still going to go with the old. I have to replace a striker at the 60th minute, no matter what, or 70th minute, no matter what. He's kind of been that way for a while now, which is fine because it does allow a fresh leg to attack a defensive backline. The only problem I've ever had with it is when he brings in like Matt Real or Nathan Harriel and replaces Ua. I'm like, well, that doesn't really help us right now when we have to be, when we're down a goal. Or he brings in, Joaquin Torres, who's a much smaller, less effective player, and then he puts him on the double pivot with the tens, and you have Carranza by him. Some of those things again don't make sense. So this hopefully alleviates all that issue, and then it's a smooth transition for every substitution, whether it's Ua or what's his name, Baribo, right? At this point, I don't even remember how to pronounce his name.
It's Baribo, it's Ty Baribo, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So listen, I'm excited. 3 years, I think the rumor is from Tom Bogert, so that's a good amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, everything that you said there definitely rings true. It's going to be a great third striker to have in there to be able to do a super sub late on, for that fresh bit of speed, and like you said, even to possibly swap the position between him and Ua and have Baribo start and then have Ua come in to get his pace out there late. It's going to be a very solid thing. I feel like this move, if it goes the way we're thinking it will definitely solidify Carranza's position in the 11 for the most part for the season, and it also leads to the question now, because this is it would technically be our fourth designated player, so we would have to figure out a contract structure for either Gazdag or Carranza to change them over from being a designated to being an actual member of the club. So who would you, if you had to make that choice, say you're Ernst Tanner, who, by the way, also got an extension today.
I know. Huge news right there.
Oh, huge.
It's almost bigger than the striker news.
It really is, because you consider like a lot of it was especially because you consider a lot of the loans that we've made out are from guys that he's helped develop through our youth academy, Ben Salem, Steel FC before we got Union 2, and then also through Union 2 and coming into the senior squad. So there was definitely it's definitely a very well-deserving extension for him. But if you guys were in his position, who would you prefer to try and transfer that contract over to just a main roster spot instead of DP?
Gus, I mean, I don't know the intricacies of this level of stuff, but in terms of just importance, I feel like Gazdag has to be who I want to solidify long term at this point. I mean, Carranza can only thrive with Gazdag, whereas Gazdag can make other people better. I don't think Carranza necessarily makes other people better by himself. As you can see, Daniel's assist rate is constantly increasing. So for me, the impact is just Daniel. I don't know about Gus. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
No, that's exactly right, because he does make Carranza better, and the reason Carranza is playing the way that he is because Gazdag it's in the pitch. I think the plan that the Union have, which it's kind of been the same plan that they've had for a couple of years, is that they will transfer Carranza come next winter, and they'll have, as long as it works out, they'll have Baribo here to replace him, because he is a goal scorer, and I think he scored 17 in 33 games, which is in the Austrian league, it's not that bad when you look at it. There's a reason why they do call him a tank. He can sustain the physicality of the MLS. I believe he's not tall, but he's bigger in size, but he's still pretty quick. I saw some highlights of him today. I was kind of studying up on him a little bit, and I think he's going to be a great piece. But ultimately, if you ask me, I think that we transfer Carranza because he would still be under contract. We're going to get paid for it, and then we'll use Barrio as a replacement for him. And bring in another Austrian for Gazdag to feed. It's awesome. You have that connection, and that's to play with your homeboy like that. It's pretty good for him.
So it's funny because I don't know if you guys remember from last year, Jim Curtin, I think it was last year or the year before, Jim Curtin briefly, and I mean briefly, I think briefly had an experiment where he put, I want to say, Casper Shabilko, Sergio Santos, and Corey Burke together up top. It was, I think, one game against Chicago or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that? So this I would go back 2 years because Ua was obviously on the team. So you're going back 2 years from now. So I was just thinking about it, as you guys are talking, would there ever be a situation where you put three of them up top? and just maybe give Gazdag a rest or put Gazdag for. There's so many different possibilities now you have with the talent that you have up top with the three of them. So, I mean, just what you see maybe in the game where maybe they're up 2 goals and they want to get, experimental with it, see what happens. That'd be kind of fun to watch.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
that'd probably be something that I would see like mid game, like Curtin
Yeah,
wanted to get like against like if we're up 3-0 or something, and then he wants to see it. But then again, like you want to make sure that you have defense. Curtin's very conservative in that way that once we go up like that, he kind of falls back a little bit.
sure.
Um, and with the substitutions that he makes, like bringing in Real for Ua or something like that, in a timely manner like that. I mean, it makes sense, and that's what you should do as a manager. If anything, maybe like we can try it out against a lesser team as
Yeah,
a start, somebody with like a weaker attack, just so we can, if we do, because we're gonna have to sub somebody there, right? So if we remove the middle in Gastag and then put three up top, we're gonna have to have a solid back, which I
yeah,
would think Brujo and Flock would take the start, which I really don't prefer because I don't like them playing like at the same time. I never did. Um, but you would need to do something like that if you are going to attack or put three in the attack. But
sure.
then again, all three of them need somebody to feed them, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work because all three of them they very much need somebody to like give them the ball.
Right.
Carranza's not great with his back against the goal,
No.
and he's been like this for years. He just not good.
Yeah.
Ua, he's the pace guy. So even though I think he might have lost a step from last year, which is unbelievable because he's young still. Um, so he needs the ball through to get him going, and then we'll see what Ty brings.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think that he's one to create his own goals, but the if we do see it, it's going to be at a game that we have
Yeah.
we have won already. If we see it at all, because like
Or
again, all of them are going to need the ball.
or we're desperate for a goal and need to try something. So I mean, if Curtin's willing to try with Casper, Sergio, and Burke, then my God, he should be able to try with the quality of Julian Ua and Baribo. So again, I
Listen,
mean, it's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining. This is awesome. I love to
Absolutely.
experiment with this stuff, and it's gonna be hopefully he's here, no problems with visa, nothing like that. Just get him in, put him in, and let's let him play.
listen, I loved Casper, but just so slow. It was kind of frustrating to watch him out there when he was here. But he was a good threat up top, which other than our defenders, we don't necessarily have up top anymore.
Mhm.
But we don't need it. We haven't needed it for the past year.
Right.
What Curtin is doing has been working. This year though he's been having some questionable calls.
Mhm.
Um, we're still in pretty good shape, but I mean, Austin, I've talked to you about this. We talked about this last week. Also, his decision making this year has just gotten me to feel unease, if anything.
Yeah, I agree with
Does leave
that.
you scratching the head sometimes.
Well,
But yeah,
I also think that the constant injuries has been something that's been hard for him to deal with. Obviously, historically speaking, MLS teams struggle in league play when the CCL is their focal point. So having that issue, but if you look back at the year so far, we've had what 7 players get hurt so far. I mean, you think Kai, Leon, Olivier, Damien, Bedoya, Andre Blake. You think of how many people have been down so far this season. Even Pereira was out, even though he wasn't playing, obviously. But Andres was hurt too for a bit. So I take that slightly into consideration. But I
Hmm.
also agree that sometimes he overthinks the lineup much more than he has to. And that, again, Atlanta match is the perfect example of that. Or even putting Bedoya out there against Ricky Pooch with LA Galaxy. It just was not what you needed at the time. So I
Don't
agree with
don't
you.
don't even
It's yeah. I know
don't,
it's too
don't
soon
even get
still.
me started on Bedoya
Yeah.
because uh, for years now I've been trying to tell this man
here we go.
I love Bedoya represents for the Union, but everything that he's here to do, he can do from the bench. which is be a veteran, be somebody in a young person's ear, be a mentor. You can do that from the bench. We don't need him out there in minute 76 when he started the game. And I truly believe that lost us some games earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, he came out. I think it was at the game against I want to say Nashville or New York City. He played and he came out in like the 60th minute, and then it was. I was like, that's fine. I can live with that. That's you. Bedoya still has the quality and the leadership to finish a game for 20 minutes to be that ending. I mean, I don't know how far you guys go back, but almost Warren Creavalle, like go in there, take care of business, be a leader, be a veteran, handle what you got to handle, but to put him against, let's say hypothetically Miami in, the heat of the summer for 90, it's just not fair to Bedoya, frankly. And it doesn't do his career justice to have him be that way. When you have players, again, like Bueno and McGlynn and even Sullivan, who can step in there and do a very serviceable job.
Talk about Bueno, though. What a jump that he's had. I think he's playing worlds better than he was even earlier in the year.
Yeah, absolutely out of sight.
Yeah, I mean, you looked at his match against El Salvador in El Salvador on that terrible rocky pitch they had. That's when he first kind of got an idea of what he could do, and then it kind of just disappeared a bit. But I mean, Bueno, if you think about developmentally speaking, he's probably one of the best, the highest growth we've seen from a player that I can think of in recent years. Because players like Glessens, they came in expecting to play at a high level. We expected these players to play well. We didn't really expect Bueno to be what he is right now. So he's exceeded expectations and more. Now, if he starts scoring goals too, which he could have scored against Tijuana.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then, I mean, the sky's the limit. Now you have a midfielder who can put some goals in because we really don't have a midfielder who can score at a steady pace. We rely completely up top with Daniel, Julian, and Ua. And if you really want to look at it, we don't rely on Daniel to score. We rely on Daniel to assist.
Right.
He's had one goal in open play this year, I think, and I think he got called back. And yeah, and it's just that's it. Yes. So it's to have a midfielder who could actually put it in the net would be astronomical for this team. It really would.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're waiting for it, and we're hoping that it happens. I think that between him and Quinn, once they find the back of the net, it's gonna come, and that's what we're waiting for, and we're hoping to see. But let us talk about our game coming up tomorrow, which would be against Querétaro. And it's gonna be a game which we can very well experiment against this team. I'm excited to see what 11 ends up being out there, but I think that we can definitely control this game and leave with the W.
Yeah, I was talking to so last night on Across the Pitch we had Kyle and Jillian Almany from the One Team We Agree On, which is another fellow Union podcast, and they were highlighting, statistically speaking, Querétaro is very much defensive minded, not very good on the attack, not very good in scoring. So if you look at the Union, why the Union struggles so much when they're up a man is because teams just park the bus to kind of defend, and the Union don't really do well with possession. So that's kind of when they are like, well, we're just going to stick to the Union play. We're not going to finish you off. So my concern, I know Dave Miller's concern, I know Kyle's concern was, is this going to be a defensive standoff where teams, they're just, the Union are going to try to wait for the counter, but so is Querétaro, and then it ends up being a lot closer than you want. So I really hope they just punish them right off the bat. And the quality in scoring is obviously better. So I think you go three in the back with Damian Lowe back there starting, and you mix it up a little bit with the lineup, and you try to attack them early. And then if you score a goal early on, you should be able to finish them off pretty quickly.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Querétaro is a team that we played in a tournament last year, I believe, or maybe even earlier this season. I think. I don't remember if it was last year or this year, but I remember it was I feel like it was them, and we played against them, and because we did the home and home with the aggregates in that tournament, and they played our corners the exact same way from the previous game, and we let Damian Lau take it. Yeah, it was from this year because we let Damian Lau take advantage and get a good header on.
We didn't play Querétaro this. We played Alianza and we played Atlas.
That's who it was, Alianza.
We played Alianza.
So I think we might have played against Querétaro last year, I believe it was, and I remember us getting some decent results from them because we were sort of playing a bit more pensively and letting their line sort of crack a little bit, and we got a couple good runs in. I could be terribly wrong about this, but I feel like I remember seeing the name before.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, go ahead.
If we did, and they did study the union with our regular 11 out there, and I think throwing Lowe in there and instead of Elliott to start is going to throw a wrench to their plan. One, because Lowe is a little faster, right? He can get back a lot quicker, and he's a little more offensive minded than Elliott is. Because Elliott is solid CB, and him and Glesnes are solid together. But Lowe kind of looks up top a little bit, so that could throw a wrench to their plan. They're very defensively minded, but because they're not attacking as well as any other team, you have the freedom to throw Low in there and then maybe get some opportunities with an extra guy, over midfield there.
No, I agree with you, and I think as much as I love Elliott, because I do, he's one of my favorite players. His push on the ball is very limited at best. He really is just, as you said, the traditional center back. But yeah, Glesnes and Lowe together is very exciting. I know Damian in general plays at a very high energy. I remember he took out Corey Burke real hard earlier this year. That just sends a message. So especially against a team from Liga MX who are typically just very physical squads, you want to have someone who's going to punish them right back on top of Brujo and all these players. So I want, as long as Lowe can stay healthy, I want to see him play as much as possible. Whether it's 3 in the back, whether it's replacing Elliott, I don't really care. I prefer for him to play. But again, he's one of the guys who's been down a couple times this year. So I'd rather see him in the playoffs than against Queretaro for the whole game. Let him play for a half. Let's get the lead, and then sub people in and get them rested, because he's going to be crucial in the playoffs, especially if we have to go on the road to Cincinnati.
Yeah, this is also a perfect game that if we do go up, this is where we can use Bedoya in like the 70th, 60th, or 70th, 65th minute just to come in and kind of put a calmness to the game, because that's what he does, right? As a vet, that's his job.
Well, Bedoya's still hurt, unfortunately. He's still out for a couple weeks. So,
he's not back.
No,
I heard that he took the strike.
No, grade 2 hamstring, so it's 2 to 4 weeks as of last week. But I mean, again, but to your point, how about some player like Odada, put him in for a little bit, see somebody who doesn't get minutes at least.
We asked that question last week, where we were wondering why Odada didn't get any minutes, and talking to Curtin when in the press conferences. He didn't really give a straight answer. It was leading to believe that he wasn't ready. But I think that against a team like this, why not? Like you said earlier, experiment.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Again, the most important thing is they have to get the job done. If you do it early enough, you can choke them out like the Union typically love to do. As Jim Curtin has always said, that my favorite Union win is those 1-0 just beatdowns where you score early and then you just suffocate them for the next 60, 70 minutes. I was talking to Kyle and Jillian again last night. They loved what they saw from Odada last year in that friendly, I think against Pachuca or one of those international squads. So let's see him go. Let's give Brujo a rest. Let Bueno thrive. But the minutes are there to be had. I'm sure they're coming from multiple players, hopefully. And I know Leon Flock, I think, is back in the lineup as well. I think he was training today, if I remember the presser correctly. So we'll see.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just as long as you can get the job done, what you do in the interim between getting the lead and and having the final whistle blow, just have at it, because I mean, granted, you position in your group right now, you're the only. Granted, Queretaro didn't play yet, so this is their first match in group play. But you have 3 points, you have a goal differential of +2, you've scored 3 goals. You're in a good position to really take a hold on this group stage and be able to move into the knockout round. So just do what you have to do to be able to get this done. I feel like it'll be a very solid win. Just want to really quick just move into predictions for you guys before we get out of here tonight. So, Mike, you want to start us off with yours?
Yeah, I do think It'll be 2-0. I think that's fair result. I don't see Queretaro scoring against us, especially with Blake and net. I would like to see 5-0, 4-0. I would love to see a beatdown, but because of the rotation and because maybe the way the style of play is, maybe we do sneak away with a 2-0 win. But for me, my prediction hopefully is rotation and load management, because ultimately, if the Union do make a deep run in Leagues Cup, we have to worry about us having played so many more games than everybody else in the entire league, because we are one of the leaders in
Right.
games, but we've also had a lot of injuries. So get to the game 2-0, lock them up early on, shut them down, bring the subs in, and just get some load management in. That's the mantra for me tomorrow: load management and a win.
I'm right with you. I think that's a perfect game plan for tomorrow, especially a team like Querétaro. But I feel like we put at least 3 on the board.
I'll take it.
Uh,
Prove me wrong, please.
and the only reason I'm saying that is because for some reason we always find a PK in every game. So I think that Gaza gets another one, and we score 3 to win the game.
I like it.
2-0 Union tomorrow. Taking a win, taking it. They've been striving at home.
You know what? Before you keep going, I am going to make a prediction also outside of just scoring. Blake's going to have, I want to say 3 saves, and those 3 saves are going to be the only time they're going to see the ball in the Union side of the.
Was that it? Wow.
The possession's going to all be just 70% Union
But
possession.
you know what? you know when you look at the numbers though, the Union actually do better when we have the ball less.
Yeah, of course. That's how we play. It's counterattack,
Right.
low possession. We've won games with 35% possession.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree. Just a goal scorer too. Let's get Bueno a goal finally. I agree. I know all of us want to see it. Let's have Bueno score one tomorrow.
I honestly would take either him or Quinn. Like if Quinn gets some minutes and he can get a goal in.
Get it going.
I'm good with either of them.
Exactly.
Gus, you stole my thunder on that. I was going to say we win 3-1 and Sullivan and Bueno both score.
I'm sorry. I want to see it too, man. I really do. I want to see it.
I need that. I need the hype of that stadium directly injected into my veins if they both score.
He's gotten so close, like so many, like especially last year, like so many times, so close that I think he wants it. He wants it bad.
He does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, listen, Mike, thanks again. Please, guys, I want to say thanks. Give Mike here a follow on Twitter. His handle is right at the bottom of your screen. And please go give him a follow. There he is on Twitter and TikTok. Great, thank you so much. And catch him Monday nights across the pitch. Him, Jose Nunez. They do a phenomenal job breaking down Union soccer. And it's like I said, it's an honor, privilege to hang out with this man in the press box. So you'll be seeing us up there once again come August 20th. We'll be riding back up there. But like I said, catch up for all of our articles here on the EOP. We do a phenomenal job. But again, I want to thank you so much. And guys, stay tuned. Big Alpha Fury is coming on right about now to break down this Phillies and Orioles game. Big win for the Phillies. Guys, stay tuned. Guys, check our man here, Mike, out all across the pitch. We say all across all the time. That's sort of the cross team. But catch him there across the pitch. Again, great show as always. Guys, give it up for my man, Mike. Thanks so much for taking some time and joining us tonight.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me. I know you had Jose too recently. So listen, we love it. We'll share your stuff out. We'll help each other out. Pods helping each other out. That's all it's
Absolutely,
all about.
brother.
So listen, man.
And hopefully we get to have you again soon, man.
You tell me when. I'll be here, man. I appreciate it. And we'll return the favor as well, of course.
Thanks, Diego. Listen, there might be something big in the works. We're looking to work out here. But anyway, I want to thank you so much, guys. Thanks for the show again, guys. Stay tuned. Alpha Fury Phillies final tonight, fighting final tonight, coming on right about now, guys. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We're out of here.